Why is it important for humans to bond together? What would our world be if there's no bonding between us? We would say that we can never survive on the planet. Bond pervade every aspect of our life. Can you think of anything that has no bond? Actually, there's one. The novel 1984 by George Orwell is an example of how the lack of bond affects humans. It is illegal for the protagonist Winston to have human bonding in his society. In the novel, civilians live under control of totalitarian governments. If people got together and started a revolution to overthrow the existing government, the ending of the novel could be different. However, the government was aware of power of bond, so it banned any relationship between its civilians. Also, the love between Winston and Julia in the novel does not work as it is supposed to. Because they had no memory of love, they don't know how to actually love someone. So they only ask for physical love. When babies are born, they have to learn the basics to survive. One of the most important things is learning how to communicate and love. However, the babies in the novel are deprived of their parents' love and are unable to feel what love is like. They don't know how to love others either. And also, the fear of government was so much bigger than their love towards others. Their love failed because they never learned to love and didn't know the power of love. How we have been growing up shows how powerful and important it is for humans to bond together. We all begin with the same bonding at birth. Birth, a bond between mothers and children, is the only way people can come to Earth. Can you live without learning? Or can you teach everything to ourselves? No, we can't. We are all babies at first. Babies cannot eat, talk, walk, read, or do other basic things we need to survive. But they learn all of these things from families by communicating with them. For example, what is the first word we say when we start talking? I'm pretty sure for many of us that the first word we say are mama or dada. Why? Because our parents are the first people we communicate with. And parents not only help us, but they show us proper ways to do something, so that we learn how to do those things by ourselves. Not only that, we learn how to feel emotions and express them from having relationships with others. Our society is full of bond. If we are by ourselves, we can't feel any emotions as there will be nothing going on around us, then we would be unable to feel human emotions. The next step of having relationships with family members is acquiring friendships. Most of us go to school or go to work to meet and work with lots of people from many different cultures and families. By being part of a bond, we develop our abilities to think and have sentiments such as compassion and forgiveness. Sometimes having relationships with others could hurt us, but it can also heal us. Also, we learn how to live together in one world through bonding, which in return can change the world we're living in.
It is important for people to bond together because it helps us overcome our differences and discover our passions. The movie Like Stars on Earth tells a story about an 8-year-old boy, Ishan, who is very different from other pupils. He is not good at studying at all. He cannot recognize the letters promptly, and he is regarded by his father as a troublemaker. Wanting him to become a brilliant boy, Ishan's father sent him to a boarding school that has a lot of stricter rules. Living apart from family makes Ishan upset and grumpy. He also admits himself as a freak. All of those do not change until Mr. Ram appears, who notices Ishan's talent for painting and tries to encourage him to admit his differences, rather than be ashamed of them by sharing his own story. Later on, Mr. Ram holds a drawing contest in which everyone in this school is invited. Eventually, Ishan wins the first prize, which makes him admitted by the whole school and his family. Throughout the connection between Ishan and his teacher, Mr. Ram, it can be emphasized that bonding with others definitely helps us overcome our differences and find out who we are and what we value. since Mr. Ram used to experience the same situation that Ishan is encountering. He is willing to bond with Ishan in order to support him. With the help of Mr. Ram, Ishan realizes his talent and gets courage to communicate with the world, instead of refusing to share or to love as if a lonely star living on the earth.
As I have already mentioned, I believe people can get hurt by others, but we can also heal our wounds by bonding together because I have experienced this through my life. When I was younger, there was a mentally challenged woman who sometimes came to my church. She was hostile to others and wanted to persecute them to make her feel better. During that time, my dad was the second pastor at our church, so he had to deal with her personally since she was quite violent and everyone feared her. She called my parents almost every day to swear at them and threaten to stab me and my sister. Because of her, my parents had to change their phone numbers and our home numbers numerous times, but somehow she always found the new numbers. She even fabricated domestic violence and reported to police to disturb our lives, causing the police to check our houses a few times. What helped me the most to get through this was the people around me, especially friends and teachers. She once came to my grade 4 class and my teacher dealt with her instead of me, and my friends comforted me until I felt better. They always stayed with me for protection. Even the school positioned the school guard mostly in the area or around my homeroom, so I could feel better. I am pretty sure that I would have never be able to overcome it without their helps. When you get hurt by rude, irrational, and hostile people, we can overcome our hardship because there are others who can support us and help us. When people bond together, they can heal each other and learn one of the most important and difficult aspects people can have, forgiveness. The aftermath of Rwandan genocide in 1994 is an exemplary phenomenon that shows how people learn forgiveness to heal each other while bonding together. In 1994, Belgium gave up the dominance of Rwanda and gave Hutus sovereignty over the country, and two ethnics of Rwandan, Hutu and Tutsi, started fighting over the control of the country. During this hostile era, Hutu origin president was assassinated. Then hardliner on Hutu killed about 800,000 Tutsis in 100 days. You wonder how Rwanda is after 20 years of this horrible genocide? The killers and their survivors became friends. They're no longer divided into Hutu and Tutsi anymore. They're Rwandans. They live in the same town and they even work together for living to overcome poverty. This amazing change happened because of their government and many non-governmental organizations' national reconciliation programs. So they gathered perpetrators and survivors together in a spirit of compassion and forgiveness and offered some seminars and conversation meetings. After a few months of meetings, they got to understand each other. Then the perpetrators sincerely apologized to survivors. Some survivors were finally able to forgive their family's killer and mutilators. After that, if they registered to the reconciliation project, they were able to voluntarily help others and help rebuild their town by constructing survivors' houses and implementing business together. This was one of the interviews done by perpetrators and his victim.
baterwaga kuvuga uko byatugendekeye tukarira twabanje kurira kwagirira ariko baguma badukomeza inama ziduhuza inshuro nyinshi baradukomeza bigeze ubwo noneho twatura yaratura avuga uko byagenze turatura bigeze ubwo noneho baduhaye n'amahugurwa tukajya noneho twahura tugasuhuzanya tugahoberana twahirukanaga.
Humanity's greatest desire is to belong and connect. With the emergence of social media, such as Twitter and Facebook, we see each other, we hear each other, and we share what we have to remind us that we all have something common. This connection is changing the way that the world works. This campaign, Buy Pens, directly shows the power of bonding. The photograph of a Syrian refugee father, Adder, carrying his daughter on his shoulders while trying to sell pens on the street of Beirut touches the world this past summer. Jason Simonsson, who is an online journalist in Norway, created a Twitter account under the name Buy Pens and a campaign to raise 5,000 for Adder and his family. And when it closed 3 months later, the campaign had collected almost 4 times more. After giving away 25,000 to his relatives and friends in Syria, Adder quickly rebuilt his life with the rest, and now he owns 3 businesses in which 16 Syrian refugees are employed in Beirut. In this case, people from different countries try to give a few dollars of what little they have to help Adder, who is a total stranger to them, which gives Adder hope to rebuild his life. In return, Adder passes on his hope to others by bonding with them. As a result, they all have a better life. Often, the power of bonding with others can bring us hope and love to help us turn the corner. Another example showing how bonding works well is a short film, Coney 2012, produced by Invisible Children Inc. Its purpose was to make Jessup Coney globally known in order to have him arrested. Coney is a dictator in Uganda, one of the least accessible regions in the world. As a result, for 26 years, Coney has been kidnapping children into his group, turning the girls into sex slaves, and making the boys child soldiers. He even forces them to kill their parents. Lacking of strong military force and connection with the world, those children kidnapped by Coney seemed to be invisible for the world. The first one who tended to stop this was a journalist, Jason Russell, who has been friends with a Ugandan boy named Jacob on Facebook for over 10 years. When he first met Jacob in Uganda, Jason was shocked by their situation.
We fear that if we sleep at our home, we can be abducted by the rebels because our home is far away from town.
Not. This is surreal. You cannot believe it. This has been going on for years. If that happened one night in America, it would be on the cover of Newsweek.
Since one voice was too weak to be heard, Jason appealed to his friends. They staged many campaigns and speeches, and their awareness tends an action. So they created a community. Gradually, more and more people noticed this campaign on Facebook and started to collect money or ideas that could help those African children.
I've talked to people from Mexico, from Canada, from every other state that I can think of. We're all doing this for the exact same reason, and we're all coming from completely different places. This is what the world should be like.
Eventually, the campaign successfully attracted the United States, even the whole world, and contributed to the decision to send the troops by the African Union.
From the battlefield. Sincerely, Barack Obama.
Humanity keeps trying to bond with each other because we deeply understand that bonding is a way in which human beings become powerful in order to make the world beautiful, diversified, and peaceful. What's more, the hope can only come when we stand together as one.
To lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me.
Why do you think people bond together? Why do I think people bond together? Because people need communication and they need love, and bonding means a lot to people who are like lonely, it's like solitude. Bonding makes them feel more comfortable and involved with the society they're living.
There's strength in numbers to overcome difficulties. When we're trying to overcome difficulties.
The reason why people bond together is because we are human beings and we were born to be together. That's just our inner nature. And for what I really think is that people bond together to get support, to get the education, like what they need, what their weakness is, so they can take the strengths of other people and then add it to themselves to be perfect. And that is how.
Bonding between humans is necessary and very important because through it, we learn how to love, how to overcome our differences, how to forgive others, and how to heal with others and ourselves. Sometimes there are many things we cannot achieve by ourselves. However, we can achieve them if we bond with others. There are many events that show the power of bonding that we may be unaware of.